Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going through the trade targets for round 24, the last round of the men's season, and what could be a very interesting round, as we do have some, I guess, key forwards that could potentially have a one-off pop, and they really do explode if they have no key defenders to defend on them. Someone from Geelong is looking very likely at that. And then you've got also just some guys that are generally in some pretty good form that are probably going to be traded in quite a lot. And then you've also, we'll look at the trade outs, as a lot of people are trading out some failures and some guys that have potential, just one that have a tag coming up, and you might as well trade them out, as a tag is very likely to diminish their score. But anyway, let's just jump into this video here. So as you see here, Jeremy Cameron is the top guy traded in at 3K trade-in. If we go to, who did they play last week, West Coast? They played Carlton. And I don't know if Carlton really had a key defender to really show, key forward to really show that. If we go here, go to defense first position is probably going to be the best bet to show this, especially key forwards. Key forwards, West Coast are plus 7.07. They had Owies as a key forward. Don't know about that one. But Paul Curtis playing as a key, okay. They've sort of leaped a little bit to keys recently, but I don't really think that a lot of these are actually necessarily key forwards. You did have the massive Tim Membry game. Yeah, I'm looking at this going, I don't know if these guys are necessarily key forwards per se. Let's just check. What's a key forward? Which is smaller forwards who are heavy goal scorers. Okay, don't know if I would really count small forwards as the definition of a key forward. But anyway, that is what it is. So we get that, we grab, that's already the same thing. So we can go down here, we can go to AFL, we can go to the usual fancy breakdown. And we'll just look at West Coast in case they are a good matchup, but it looks, I would suggest that they are, given all their outs, a decent matchup. You can see here West Coast, this line here, 50 for turnovers and 51 for minus 51 for kick-ins. Then we go to, where is Geelong? Geelong are actually a decent matchup for turnovers. We go here, we go to turnovers, and we go to Jeremy Cameron, and I do like that split actually for Jeremy Cameron. And what did he score in his last game? He scored an 82 against St Kilda. Last time against West Coast, has he played them this year? Against North, he went 1-2-2 with 6 goals. I expect probably something similar against North. The other time this year, he went 100 and hasn't played North this year. And he's gone pretty well against most teams, other than the Western Bulldogs, who have a pretty tall defence anyway. And then also, where else has he struggled? Pretty much hasn't struggled outside of that. So I think Jeremy Cameron could be a decent option if you are going to go for something like that. 7-11K, I think you could probably cheap out a little bit and find an upgrade elsewhere on the field as well. Given that 7-11K you should be able to be traded in for. And yeah, maybe even for me, I could do it for like someone that's potentially a midfielder that's getting a tag, and then just shuffle in another forward into the midfield, like an Isaac Heaney or something like that, and then put Jesse Cameron in the forward line. Something like that could happen. As I do like that matchup against the Eagles. Nick Newman, I think everyone's known this for the last couple of weeks now. The stats just suggest that he's a pretty good scorer, and he's got St Kilda. St Kilda are a rather neutral matchup, I would say. Let's just do Desi kickers for St Kilda. They are still down here at -2. The other stats suggest a rather neutral matchup, but then again, there isn't many defenders that I don't think have a pretty good run in. Like, you got the Gold Coast, Collingwood, and Western Bulldogs, which Western Bulldogs are actually slightly surprising, whereas the defenders are actually really hard against, like North, and Richmond's actually probably turning into a really bad one for. Where's Richmond? Here at +4, but that's flipping quickly, even though their turnover stats are getting a lot worse. So Richmond, you really want the turnover, you really want the high up the field guys that are getting turnovers, like the midfielders, rather than the defenders, because they're that bad that the defenders just can't get the ball. especially if they're trying to really put a score on. So that's a weird one that you almost have to look at, which will be something we'll learn for next year, is to look in case they're almost so bad of a matchup that it's going to be hard for a team to score. Dylan Moore has North Melbourne. North Melbourne, if we look at this metric here, are actually a relatively tough matchup to score against. And that's probably just because they keep the ball quite a lot. If you go to here, we go to, I would class him as more of a general forward, +2, -2, so probably an even matchup. It's North Melbourne. They're going to be utterly horrendous. That's last 10, actually. Let's go to last 5, and I want to just double check with Richmond key designated kickers for Richmond. Yeah, you can actually see they're a negative matchup, and North Melbourne for general forwards here, +4, -5. So yeah, they're a neutral matchup for the likes of Dylan Moore. So I mean, he's still going to score really well because he's Dylan Moore and he's on a hot streak at the moment. But don't expect huge numbers, as he kicked 4 goals against them for a 96 last time out. So I would expect like a 90 score there. But so if you're going for a one-off punt, I'd probably go for Jeremy Cameron because he could genuinely score a 150 score this week. But if you already have, so I wouldn't almost be bringing in Dylan Moore, but I wouldn't be trading him out. Brett Daniels against Western Bulldogs. If we actually look at here, we go to here. Western Bulldogs are probably the hardest team to score against. Has he played them this year, or are they playing them for the first time, weirdly? No, played them this year for an 85 with no goals. I sort of expect that type of stat line from him. Western Bulldogs are a tough matchup. I know that he's having a really good game, really good season, and where's Freo? Freo are basically a relatively similar type of metric here. If we just go to also, I just want to check his scoring method here. 1 second, let me just bring this up here. And we'll look at Brett Daniels' turnovers. I would expect him to be rather high on, whereas Daniels, I've missed him. I've looked over him, haven't I? Brett Daniels, 10, 13, 16, 39, 5. And then if we look at that in terms of the Freo metrics, as to reason why he scored, Freo are actually pretty hard to... This one could be an interesting one because obviously this turnover metric is a very, very bad metric. But if you look at it, he's got... throw-ins and ball-ups are actually very positive, and we've seen recently, if we go to actually his scoring in general, I want to just look at where did he score all his points against? He just scored a lot turnovers and then actually scored some pretty good across the ground stoppages. So it might not actually be that bad if he can cover the stoppage scoring well, and he might drop in turnover scoring. But if he can score in stoppages, then it shouldn't be actually too bad of a scoring metric for him. If we go back to his Western Bulldogs, if you see something like this, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes 20, 20, 20, and then like a 35 or 40 there. And then that's going to get him, what's that, a 95 or 100. And you can see CBA is there. He actually had a lot of CBAs in that game. So, yeah, I think he can score like a 90. But I don't know if he can score that big, huge score that we've seen in the past here. Like, look at that Carlton game here. They rely on high turnovers, and I don't know if he'll get those high turnover scoring because Melbourne, Carlton, and Freo were the sides that he did it against, as well as North and West Coast. If we go back to teams, if we go back to here, we said Melbourne, we said North, and North is, where are they? They're down here. We also said West Coast. West Coast are up here as well. So a lot of them are the high. A lot of them are the high turnover teams, the high positive turnover teams. I just don't know if that metric will run true with him. Carlton was the other one that I forgot. Carlton are also a plus team. So I just don't know. I feel like this is way too negative for him to be able to put up a good score, to be honest with you. We grab that, then we go back to here. No, don't want that. Down one more. Noah Anderson plays Richmond. I think this one is a really good matchup to jump on, to be honest with you. 844k, so you can probably save some cash here as well, doing something there. And yeah, so I think Noah Anderson could be a really good option there. playing Richmond. And like I said, with the Sicily one, I think Richmond really do give up to midfielders. If we go to just this stat, which I don't like to use as much, but you can see Richmond are a +5 to midfielders. They've given up, if we go down here, Connor Nash, but he's not a big scorer. All the big scoring midfields go sort of 100 plus. Even Paddy Dow scored well. LDU 120. Jack Steele went 199, which isn't the best. You can just see that a lot, like Nick Dacos went 128. A lot of the ball hogs sort of do really well. So even Butters went 88, but I think they might have had a tag in that game. I want to say there might have been a tag, whereas I don't know if Graham will tag. We'll find out tonight if that is the case. But I just think that matchup with Noah Anderson without a tag could be a very, very good one for fantasy scoring after he did go 118 in the last round. So, yeah, I just think that's... when has he played them this year? Yeah, played them for 99. I think they were better in round 0. But I think that he'll be better this week. So I think he'll go 115, 120, which could be a really good split, especially if you're downgrading from like maybe a guy on the tag like a Tom Green or something like that. I think, does Tom Green have... Tom Green has Western Bulldogs, so I don't think it'll be too bad, but I don't know who Essendon have necessarily. Let me just try and find it. Essendon have Brisbane. If Berry is named, which I haven't looked at the injury report for that, then maybe you can go off merit and try and go to Anderson and really upgrade elsewhere. Marshall has Carlton, Pitnet, which is an interesting one. I haven't really looked at Pitnet and his who he's played against, Hawthorn, Collingwood, and others. Let's just look at the ruck line for that. The last 5 should give you an indication, and he's a +2. If we just go here, you'll see, I think, let's just see, Lloyd Meek went 74, so it's actually an iffy matchup, but Tristan Cherry did go 124 against it, so I'm not too worried about it, to be honest, too much. So, and Tristan Cherry's scoring is probably, that -2 is probably heavily outweighed a little bit. Let me actually put it up at the screen a little bit. I think it's more outweighed by the fact that he's played no ruckman in the last about 2 or 3 weeks. So that means that his plus-minus is actually heavily increased, which probably means that this has made that matchup look a little bit worse than it is. So, yeah, I'd probably... Rowan Marshall, I think, is a really good choice if you're still trying to get that ruckman in. Jack Steele, Carlton. We just go to inside mids quickly. Just want to check. Carlton are -1. Let's check their turnovers here. About even. But I do like that they're a positive team. They're a slightly negative kick-ins don't matter. But they're really good in stoppages for opposition. If we just go to... we're going to St Kilda here, and I'm pretty sure you'll find Jack Steele probably 55 turnovers, 15, 15, 15, something like that. Whereas Steele, yeah, roughly about right there. Yeah, 15, 18, 14, 50. So I think this is a really good matchup still, considering that they're probably going to be still without a lot of their forward half players. So a lot of their, like Matt Kennedy, even other guys have to do shifts up forward, and it really opens up that midfield. If we look at the Carlton who score, how did they go with that midfield trio on the weekend? Let's just see. Elliot Yeo went big, Harley Reid went big, and Tim Kelly even sort of went big. And then last week, Dylan Moore, Connor Nash, they all sort of chipped in with big enough scores. So it's not going to be like Richmond level, but still I think you could go with Jack Steele here, who is on a flyer the last couple of weeks here. 140, you can just see basically since the bye he's been going huge, and he's in some really good form. So I could see him going 125 against Carlton. Fisher, I mean, you could go Fisher as a really, really cheap option against Hawthorn, especially if McKercher has moved up the ground. It would mean that he should get a really good role, and then that would allow you to upgrade somewhere else. It might be the flyer that I do take just because... he scored all right when he's in that role, especially without Sheasel, and if McKercher is moving up the ground, it should open up that role. Hawthorn should pile on a score, which would mean that kick-ins are a premium for him. And one thing I just want to check with this, and I know it's probably going to come back really negative, -118, 36, and then if I want to go to Northern Melbourne, it's the stats are probably going to look negative, but I just want to see how does he score. Turnovers is probably going to be up there. he actually scores a lot of his split from, we go, why aren't you showing us how you scored in round 23? I don't know why that isn't there, which is kind of annoying, why that isn't showing, because that is a key statistic I want to look at, why this matchup isn't showing. That's kind of annoying. But if we look here, and I'm just trying to think, so he scored well here, but a lot of his time he scored in the high 20, 30, 40 points in the kick-ins. And if we think about that, if we look at DV, don't need that anymore. Desi kickers, Hawthorn here. We go here and we go to plus 2.39. What did the Richmond guys go? Veloston, Short, they all went pretty well. Nick Newman went pretty well against them. And then you've got Lockie Whitfield going pretty well against them. If we see something like this, then I wouldn't be surprised. You've seen guys like that go really well against them. Like the key guy go really well against them. I wouldn't be surprised if with Harry Sheasel and McKercher being out, that Zach Fisher defies all the logic in this and scores really well. So it might be my way of getting out of a guy like James Sicily and going to a Zach Fisher and placing him down back and just hoping he goes like 120, and then moving forward, and trying to get a better midfield matchup, or just trying to maybe maneuver the and get rid of the likes of a Sean Manor or something like that, or a Peatling to a Cameron or something like that, to take advantage of that matchup. So that's that one. Then we go down. Kennedy, I still don't like the fact that he's having to play this key role, or sort of. I'd have to actually look at his splits here. If we go here. Let me go to, I think it'll be in here. No, it won't be in there. Who's this for? Brett Daniels, so get rid of you. Team scoring, then I can go to, I'm trying to find Kennedy. So if we go to Carlton, and then we go to here, we go to turnovers, because I know he's a pretty good turnover guy. And we go to here, I just want to see his split in terms of what he was doing, a large portion of the forward. Last time he did that, he scored a 73. The time before that, he scored a 36 as a sub. Or was this not even as a sub? The time before that, where he had similar numbers, was his sub game for a 15 and 19% time on ground. You extrapolate that, that's like a 60 or a 70. I just don't like this role, to be honest, too much. He did go 100 in it before. And yeah, that West Coast matchup, it doesn't seem like those are clocking in yet, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. But yeah, I just don't like his role necessarily. He can obviously still score in it, but I just don't like it terribly too much. And if we look at St Kilda for transition points, get rid of that, we don't need you. You will see that they have, it's not the greatest fantasy scoring output. And if we even look at inside mids quickly here, you'll see they are down the bottom here. They're pretty much negative for any position he can play, other than wing defenders, which would suggest like a Ollie Hollands or even a Nick Newman, I would think, would classify in that sort of region there. So I just don't think Matt Kennedy is the greatest guy to turn to in the matchups at the moment. I think you would rather take a punt on a Jeremy Cameron. Butters, I know he's gone huge, so I'm probably not going to trade him out, but I wouldn't be probably trading him in, I don't think. Let me just check inside mid. Freo, plus, and then we go to here again. I know we've talked about Freo quite a lot. I just don't like the metrics here, to be honest, to trade Zach Butters in. I think there's like a Noah Anderson or other guys, even a Jack Steele, who have more promising metrics to go off than Zach Butters, who are averaging roughly around the same across the season as Zach Butters. But they also have a positive matchup. Like the Richmond matchup, you've got to target, I think, the likes of Noah Anderson over Butters, just matchup based. Bins, I can understand sort of bringing in a rookie if you need but you would rather just bring in the 200k guy, surely. Because he's not going to explode an on-field score, I don't think. Sinclair, understand this. I've cheated with him in and out, into the side to like fix up that James Sicily, etc. But I think I may try the Zach Fisher route today after recording this. Nick Dacos, Melbourne matchup, they are depleted. Let's just see the Melbourne scoring methods. Here we go. 1 second. Where are they? They're here. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think they have a positive record that should help Nick Dacos. If we just go to Collingwood here, you'll find Nick Dacos heavily turnover split, I would think. Actually, heavily CBA split, actually. So, centre bounce, they are positive centre bounce, ball ups, and turnovers. Positive here in turnovers, positive here in centre bounce. So, yeah, I could understand this. I just would be worried that Neil Bullen does one final job, and with nothing much to play for as well, I wonder how the Scott Pendlebury being, I suspect, out of that midfield would impact Nick Dacos' scoring ability, as he really has to be that only contested ball guy. Elliot Yeo has a really good matchup, but I just think that there are guys that score more than him, like he's averaging like 90. So if you're getting him in as a defender, then I understand that, but I just think that there are other guys that will score way more than him, to be honest with you. And I'd almost take someone that just can absolutely just take kick ends and stuff like that. Archie Roberts, I wouldn't be bringing him in. Gawn, I would be bringing in one of the other rucks. He's got Collingwood. Collingwood rucks are actually tough to score against. If we actually, no, I don't want that. I want this. I'm pretty sure they're tough to score against. Yeah, -10. So I wouldn't be going Gawn either, especially with his foot. It just seems broken at this point. Whitfield Martin, I wouldn't be bringing in either of those. And we're down to the 500s. And let's quickly go through the outs, as this is actually going to get up soon. Hayden Young, understand that. Port Adelaide, tough matchup. Doesn't really have a ceiling score in him. And we're hunting ceiling scores. Pete Ling as well at Western Bulldogs. He did horrifically with the role. Cogs being back, even though Cogs has a stuffed shoulder. Don't like that. Sheasel's out. Grundy, it's looking destined that he'll get a rest this week. Just because finals is sewn up. Doesn't need to play, honestly. And if he does play, we've seen he's been rested in game, as you see here, 64%. He had sub 50% time on ground in the second half of last week in this game here. So if he does play, they will rest him in game. And it's also, I would say, a 50-50 shot that he doesn't actually play. Jai Simpkin, understand this, as he's just not putting up necessarily big numbers, and you can just jump straight to Jeremy Cameron. Lawson Humphreys, ton of Asian, and I think he's got a lot of cash on the back burner there to be able to just sort of put up, you can almost jump him straight with a rookie to another. If you combine two rookies, you could get like even a Jack Sinclair, and that could be really, really powerful. Jordan Clark, tough matchup. Dan Houston suspended. Billy Dowling not playing. I can get rid of the star there. Logan Evans, he could actually be impactful. Even though I don't have him, he could be really impactful if with Dan Houston going down, if they don't really replace him well. But I think Farrell could be one that really pops. Manor, Zach Taylor, Merritt, Rankin, understand these ones. These are all sort of injury or tag related. Same thing with Caleb Sarong, Showmaker, Philippou, Keys, Laird, etc. That pretty much is it. But that is the video. They're going through the last trade targets for round 24. And I think this trade targets just highlights the need of getting off those guys that have tags, because tags are so much more dangerous with 1 game sample size. Well, like a 1 game sample size. And the ceiling score is what you're really, really hunting, is that guy that can pop off a ceiling score rather than a guy that's just going to put up I guess it's you're more risk taking rather than risk averse with the scores, I guess, when it comes down to 1 week over other stuff. So I think that, yeah, you're taking that risk this week with the scoring. And so, yeah, I would be hunting the guys like Cameron that can put up a 10 marker, 6-7 goal effort, which that on its own would be 100 points just off the 10 marks, 10 kicks, 6-7 goals. And then you add in the kicks around the ground, tackles, etc. He's gonna put up a big score, I believe. So anyway, that's the video. If you did enjoy, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on for future episodes, and I'll see you guys in those. Bye guys.